What's going on, family? How are you? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat if you were here. Shout out to you for taking out a little bit of time on your Thursday evening to join us on this Thought Leader Thursday. This is a time where thought leaders, coaches, consultants, entrepreneurial minded individuals, career professionals, anyone and everyone that wants to grow, expand in their life, in their personal life, in their professional life, financial, mindset, all those good things, and want to be informed and prepared about how to move forward. So, if that is you, give me a one in the chat. Let me know that you're here. Where you're tuning in from will be wonderful. What state, what city, all those good things, and we'll get into it. As always, I like to give roughly about a 10-minute buffer or so. We're already 10 minutes in, 2 minutes over our 10-minute buffer. So, thank you all so much for your patience. As always, sometimes technical difficulties, no excuses, but hey, we're here. And I'll address the elephant in the room. If you've been watching the last YouTube video, I'm going to try to re-upload that, okay? That was a really important one, and I was really excited to make that YouTube video about NVIDIA and the levels on NVIDIA, and I felt like, I mean, if you listen to it and you couldn't see the screen, I don't know what happened trying to get down to the bottom of it. I've never had that happen before, so all the levels and everything played out to perfection on that NVIDIA idea and the overall market today. So I would love to answer any questions where you're tuning in from. What's going on? North Carolina, it looks like. North Carolina. So that must be Michelle, maybe, calling her out. So thank y'all so much, as always. If there's any questions, I'll be checking the chat periodically throughout this live stream. I'm not going to try to make it too long, but I always say that, and we go over just a little bit. So, Holland, Michigan, what's going on? What's going on? Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right. So let's go ahead and get started. This is our Thought Leader Thursday. Our Thought Leader Thursday is for my career professionals. My Thought Leaders idea is a person that I believe wants to be informed and wants to know what they should do to grow personally, professionally, financially, emotionally, spiritually, all those good things. So if you've never been here before, this used to be operated inside of our Discord. So our links will be down below if you're not inside of our university Discord. If you're already inside of our Discord and you don't have access to the proper levels, make sure you use that code FEB10, FEB as in boy 10, to get 10% off to come inside before the month ends. We also have our stock market boot camp that is launching next week for those that really want to understand how to read charts a little bit better. And a lot of you have worked one-on-one with me. You've been in here before. You've been listening to videos, and you're still trying to like, man, I think I can figure it out. I think I can figure it out, right? And you're wondering how you can get more time or education or understanding. And I only got so much time. I can only make so many YouTube videos. I can only do so many lives. I can only do so much live trading. It's almost like that. What does that mean? Like you're practicing, you're practicing, you're practicing. And when it's game time, right? And I'm just trying to hold a lot of practices for a lot of folks as much as possible to get your reps in. So when it's game time, you're not fumbling the ball. Okay. When the moves are being made and the money's being made in the markets and things are happening, you wake up in the morning or you wake up during that day and you're doing your thing, you're operating your business, you're at your job, whatever it is, handling your kids, your family, and you look up and opportunities have quote unquote passed, right? I'm trying to do my best this is what I do, not the only thing that I do, but I'm trying to do my best to prepare, right? Prepare folks to be like, okay, I don't have a lot of time for research. I don't have as much time as Dr. B to do all these things and understand what's going on. So let me be involved. All right. So let me get out the way. If you're not in there, make sure you join. Make sure you're inside. Go ahead and use that code early100 on the boot camp as well to get you $100 off. I think I put it to expire tomorrow, I believe. So Tuesday through Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern, next Wednesday, 4th through the 6th, 3 days to jump into the stock market, understand the economy, understand how all these factors play a part for my conspiracy theorists or folks that don't know what's going on, how big money's making money, why Tesla's tanking, why Bitcoin, what levels is going to. We're going to talk about a little bit today. I wanted to get that out the way and let people know that I didn't tell you so. Okay. It's like, hey, did you catch that? Man, nah. I just told you. Just told you yesterday. I told you on Sunday. I told you this week that the market would give back significant gains. Okay, significant gains. All right. That being said, let's read off our creed. Our creed is what we believe in here inside of Leverage, inside of our Discord. It is if you need a little bit of inspiration, I've got our pivot year here that I'll be reading off to everybody. If you need a little devotional, I've got our daily stoic as well. Okay. So this is just an intro. Get your charts ready, get your notes ready, get your questions ready as well. All right. If you know the creed, you're more than welcome to open it up. Let me share my screen here so somebody can see what's going on. All right. There we go. There we go. All right. Let me pull up our creed. This is our Discord. Let me pull it up and blow it up. Our community hub, our town hall, and then let me blow up our creed right here. All right. I am a powerful thought leader. I choose abundance and joy over fear and uncertainty. Every day I'm empowered to be 1% better and maximize my zone of genius. My unwavering spirit will shake the world, and today I have the power and the permission to show up unapologetically me. All right. So I created this about 4.5, 5 years ago. I can't even count to this day. I think 2021, when people just needed to uplift, like, who am I? Why am I doing what I'm doing? I want to start a business. I need to start a side hustle. I don't like my job. They're getting on my nerves. I can't leave my job. I'm trying to progress in it. I like my job, but I'm trying to feel like, how do I sustain this over a period of time? You are a thought leader. You have your own experiences. You have your own ideas. You have your own, perspectives on life. All right. And everybody goes through a season of fear, uncertainty, FUD, doubt, right? But we have to constantly think abundantly. So today, as you hear these quote unquote fears that may be overarching, right? Every time I mention the market's crashing, this is going down, be careful. A lot of folks can't handle, or they don't have the mental capacity to reframe that. I'm talking about opportunities. We want things to crash and bring things down to where everyone can get in, not only just the markets, but we need things to settle down. Okay. Because the wealth gap is being created. If you've heard over the past, I don't know, maybe a couple of months or last year, the next 4 years are going to be opportunist time. The folks that sit around and mope and complain and this isn't right. Eggs are $7, $8. Stop worrying about $7 eggs, $8 eggs, right? You're thinking too small. Okay. Stop worrying about, oh, well, I don't have the money right now to do X, Y, and Z. Why is the mortgages $3,000, $3,500? My property taxes are high. Like, the complaining and the idea mentality of this fear mongering. Oh, let's blame Trump. Told you shouldn't have voted for him. That's your fault. Blah, blah, all that nonsense. You know what's out there. Okay. All that is a distraction. Okay. And I'm not dismissing anyone's opinions on how they feel, right? But your feelings and emotions have to be controlled, emotional intelligence. We have to bind that with factual evidence about what's going on, because a lot of us weren't taught these things. So if you weren't taught that a recession is good, if you weren't taught that a crash is good, if you weren't taught that we have to go through pain to have pleasure, then you've got everything flipped right now. All right. So this is an opportunist time. So I want to set the stage right there. Let me know in the chat or the two if you are with me. So by the end of this, which is going to be at the top of the hour. Okay. So make sure you get your questions in the chat. I'll be stopping periodically to answer those questions, but I want everyone in the right mindset so they can smile after this, right? You can be excited after this. You can tell your friends, your family, the ones that you're sending you text messages like, man, you see this nonsense. You can be like, no, it's an opportunity. You can be the change agent in your family and your friend group. You can be the person informing people. All right. We good? Cool. All right. let's get, let me check, make sure there's no issues because there's been some issues as of late. Okay. Some technical issues. Okay. I'm still good. I'm still good. All right. So the overarching question is, why is the market, or why is it seem like there's this weird aura going on, like looming? Fool me once, fool me twice, right? Like many of us remember 2008, 2009, 2007, right? Some of us remember 2017, 2018, Trump's first term, first 2 years of his term. And some of us were blindsided for 2020. Now another 4 years has come where everything's been euphoric, right? Everything's euphoric. Everything was euphoric in 20, you know, 14, 15 into 16. Everything was euphoric and everything was kind of good recovering from COVID. 2020, end of 2020, 2021, everyone was starting to travel again, spending money. Everybody was getting 0% interest credit. People were getting loans, funding, right? Getting their businesses started. Everyone was excited to get back outside. 2023, you had the result of that. Bitcoin goes to the roof. 2024, S&P, QQQ, NASDAQ, everything at all-time highs. But if you've been watching me for a while and you've been watching savvy investors, there's an underlying theme that's been underneath the rug for a while, which is this is this really right? Like, should this, so it doesn't make any sense. Like, let's use common sense. The average American, right, is scrapping, meaning they're making decent money. It doesn't mean people aren't making 80 to $150,000 a year. Doesn't mean you aren't getting that check deposited of 3 to 4 grand every 2 weeks. I'm talking about wholesome, good, professional individuals. Okay. Because the household expenses have risen over the last couple of years. So on an upside, if you've had assets, meaning you got equity in your home, you've had some real estate deals, your business has been booming, you've been on the right side of it, you're fine. So the equation looks like this: assets up here, but also inflation, right? And cost of living has also risen as well. So when you look, if you haven't had this type of rise, right, then your assets start to equal out. So your portfolio and your expenses, you're like, man, my 401k is good, my retirement's good, everything's up, I'm well, I can pull on it when I retire, it should keep going up. But most people are not going to be pulling on that. So I've talked to individuals that are like, man, my retirement's good. How do I protect it? I've literally had the question, Brian, like, I don't really want to trade. I don't really want to do that. But like, my retirement portfolio is good, but I don't really manage it. I don't actively manage it. I just set and forget it. That is fine. Okay. But now I believe the markets and the economy is calling for an active participant investor. That means the set it and forget it method, it will work to a certain extent. Over the next 5, 10, 20 years, AI boom, tech, everything, your retirement and those things that you have will be fine. Okay. However, if we have individuals, and I mentioned it on our Sunday stock market analysis, I'm giving you this picture if you weren't on there on Sunday. Imagine a whole generation, my baby boomers, my Gen X that are approaching that season of life. They are at a time when they may be pulling on their retirement earlier than expected because their assets have accrued massively. So they may be selling the home. They may not sell the home. They may actually raise their home price because of the market value. Right? You heard the meme, you've seen some of the stuff. Oh, I bought my home for, 80, 90 grand back in the 90s and whatnot, 100 grand recently. And I've got 100 plus, 200%, 300% equity. That's great. They're sitting on that. Maybe that's you. But be realistic. What's the earning income potential right now? Are you pulling on those assets right now? So it's great for the future, but folks are still questioning, well, how do my job's not giving me a raise? If they are, great. To what extent? My business is doing okay, but consumer spending is down. So how do I market myself more to acquire more customers? Am I hitting the nail on the head? Can I get a 5 in the chat if I'm hitting the nail on the head and I'm speaking to each individual that may be listening? Someone's like, Brian, I'm fine, but I just came on here to listen. Right? I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. Others are like, yeah, I'm okay, but I'm still a little bit concerned. I don't know. I want to figure out I'm making the right moves. And disclaimer, this is a public platform on YouTube, not financial advice, but I'm giving historical context and my experience on reading these markets and reading the fundamentals and the technical analysis. We good? Am I hitting home for anybody? 5 in the chat. Am I hitting home? 5 in the chat? Maybe. Okay. Because that's where, okay, perfect. So that's where we are. Now I've got you in an ecosystem, an emotional state where you're present sitting where you are, or you're watching me on a big screen TV or your phone or wherever. Okay. So these tariffs, first of all, why are they important? Why is he doing them? Essentially, he's trying to protect the American business. Okay. We've had borders that are open. We've had other countries that have been essentially borrowing our resources, taking our money, and going to develop faster AI, right? Taking our American companies and making them better in their countries, using the resources and making those countries more desirable to not go to necessarily, but to utilize to their economy. So he's initiating these tariffs, a tax, to say, cool, you want to partner with us? You want to import? You want to export? Vice versa in the country, meaning our American companies, you want to go outside? Cool. Figure out a way to do it here. Vice versa. You want to bring things into our country? Cool. You're going to have to pay. Now, why is this a concern with the stock market and the economy, housing market included? Is because the question is, and I'm not going to give a specific answer necessarily here. I just want to broaden your horizon because a lot of people don't understand. They're just like, I don't know. I just heard tariff word and apparently it's bad. A lot of the market is pricing in the fact that where is this money going to come from? Is it going to come from the American people? Is it going to come from your pockets? Who's paying? Is that why inflation has risen? Is that we're going to be paying more for consumer goods, and that extra money that's going to be taxed from the businesses and pulled from the businesses are going to be going to these tariffs? I'm just throwing it out there, right? So that's what's in question. I'm not really interested personally in all the details of what's going on, and you shouldn't be either. Because at the end of this live, our answer that we're trying to get is how do I participate on the right side of these moves? Because folks get into the details and the weeds of, well, is it going to come from my pockets? Respectfully, if you're not having a 9-figure company, respectfully, right? A small business is still classified technically in this country underneath $10 million. So if you don't have a 9-figure company, right? Or if you aren't participating in politics or in these circles, you could have $1 million company. You may get taxed. You may have to do a little extra. You may have to pay more taxes or not pay taxes because that's been on the table as well as IRS firings, jobs data. We'll talk about that. So all these data reports are finally coming into fruition where it hasn't been adding up. So essentially, Trump is exposing what the previous party has been overlooking for Americans, saying everything's fine, right? You should be happy. Your portfolios are up. So no one questioned, right? So whether you like the administration or not, whether you think it's poor or not, whether you have a emotional moral opinion or not, essentially what this party or I'm going to put quotes around this leaders, right? However you view that, all this is doing is exposing what's actually going on because people in general have been just lollygagging around because they look up, they're like, oh man, the S&P's up. Oh man, Nvidia is going crazy. It'll never come down. Oh, Palantir, pfft, defense, we need that. There's no way that we're going to cut the defense budget. We need to protect the United States, right? But everything that goes up, everything that is euphoric must come back down. Okay. So I've been saying I like to move around. So that is my Trump tariff, just third grade elementary level perspective on that. Okay. Now, if you disagree or agree, I'm not here to argue with anybody. So if you have your opinion, throw them down in the comments, or you want to add on to help everybody here, you're more than welcome, right? But I'm trying to appeal to the person that comes on to a live or anyone that's like, I don't need the details. I just need to know what the hell this is and where do I go from here, right? So that's why all this is happening when you see the market pulling back and you hear the word tariff, okay? Let's go into some other news here and go back and look at some more things that are participatory towards this downside, this pullback, this scarcity that's in the market. And we'll talk about crypto as well. Okay. I'm not going to go too much in detail on this. Weekly jobs claims jumped to 242,000 more than expected in latest signing of economic softening. Jobs claims or jobs data is two ways. How is the job market? Meaning, are more people filing for unemployment, i.e., also getting let go? And we know that every other day, another company is laying off top professionals. Starbucks, another 1,000. Amazon, another 1,000. And these aren't like low-level jobs. These are multiple six-figure positions. These are people in Seattle working for Starbucks corporate that are making $150,000, $200,000 a year. So when you have those types of removals and shakeups from large companies, I'll show you on the charts. This is the same exact move that Meta made back in 20 when people thought Mark Zuckerberg was crazy. He was like, we're going metaverse. Y'all think we're crazy going into AI and metaverse and all these crazy terms. You're like, what the hell is he talking about? I'm selling my stock. Forget that. I don't trust him. He's in court. He's getting sued. He's got LGBTQ plus community like going at him, privacy rights. So he said, you may not like me, but you know you need me. So I'm going to clear house and restructure. And Meta goes from $80 to $800 roughly. So this is very sentimental to that time frame back in 2022, 2018 tariff time. Okay. So if you're taking notes or adding this up, we've got jobs data. Okay. More people are filing for unemployment. Okay. Each report, more individuals are slowly getting let go. That may not be you. You shouldn't maybe be concerned, but based on economics in the economy, you need to pay attention to that. Right. If all these things are happening, personal consumer sentiment reports, personal consumer sentiment expenditure reports, which is the consumer, i.e. us. How are our goods being priced? What is the consumer saying about the sentiment of the market? And all these reports have been coming out very, very shaky. So for those of you that don't know, right, you may be questioning, well, I thought all these tech companies were supposed to be on this AI push. Why is Meta falling? Why is Amazon falling? Why did Nvidia blow earnings out of the water and then they're tanking today? If you're in Leverage University or inside of my community, you already know why. I talked about this. I said Meta will probably be back down at 120. Put in the chat if that happened today. Excuse me, not Meta, Nvidia. It dropped from 135, which was our resistance, back down to 120. I said that gap fill would get filled back to 118. Did we not say that? So when you see these things happening, not that I'm a guru or I know anything better, this is just, I'm showing you how you can begin reading and putting the puzzle pieces together. I'm thinking like a hedge fund. If Warren is pulling his profits, if Warren is selling more stock, if Warren, I'm talking about Buffett, if Warren is holding on to an immense amount of cash, if the inverse yield curve is back on the upside, like I showed y'all that 10-year versus 2-year yield curve. Let me remind you, because I may have some new folks in here. All of it's adding up. Right? Now, in the midst of this, again, like I said at the beginning, I would not fear monger for anybody. Will we recover? Of course we'll recover. The question is now, where are we headed in the short term? Right? Like, you know that you know when folks say buy the dip and you're like, well, it keeps dipping. I said for folks to wait. Right? Not financial advice. I told people to just wait because the charts are telling us, and I can show you here on this 10-year yield curve. Let me make sure we're still good. Okay. Yep, we're still good. 100%. Trent, asset owners. Let me read the chat. Love the content, brother. Your explanations are amazing. Awesome vibes, bro. Appreciate you, D. Appreciate you, man. Asset owners never been richer. Exactly, Ben. Dr. B about to go off to Hawaii for the summer and buy the dip in the fall. Bro, that's why you see me moving out more west. I'm about to go down to daggone Cop Hawaii. Seriously. Have y'all seen High Life? What's it called? Yeah, I think High Life or whatever, the Hawaiian show is dope. It's dope. Go watch it on I think it's on Hulu. I was like, man, those Hawaiian vibes look kind of vibey, you know? So basically buy up all these stocks, hold and wait. Wherever it does, follow him. Yes, exactly. So we're on the right path. I just want to shout out everybody. Appreciate y'all. All right, let's get back to it. 10-year. 10-year. I told folks, my community or my folks that are participatory are not going to be shocked. They're going to wake up like, here it is. Said it. And I've stuck to my guns because every pop that has happened, I'm like, I don't care what NVIDIA, I don't care if NVIDIA did go from 113 to 141. I don't care. It'll be right back to that 114 again. Right? Because trading is different from investing. So if someone bought the dip at 113, right, that's a great dip buy opportunity if you're planning on holding NVIDIA for the long term, which I think is a good idea, right? But also be prepared to buy it at 90 and 85 and potentially 70. I'll show you in the charts, okay? So that person that is not aware, they'll see it, man, I bought the dip in NVIDIA. Did you catch it? And then they see it go up to 140, and then they look a week or so later, and it's right back to 118 where they bought it. Like, dang, right? Or I feel sorry for, not feel sorry, because I told folks, do not chase Tesla at four. We'll talk about that. Do not chase Tesla at $450. Are you crazy? Respectfully. All right. All right. Let's stay on track here. All right. Let's get this into a bigger screen here. Oops. Nope, that's not it. Refresh. Let me go into a max view here. Max view. All right. Remember this? For those that have been here watching my content, remember this? I know I have new people, so it's going to sound like a broken record. But it's playing out. We got to check in. The light gray area is when a recession or healthy pullbacks come in. Do you see these light gray bars? Light gray bar, light gray bar, light gray bar, and light gray bar. Going from right to left, this was the 2020 drop in March. When March hit and we had that first COVID case, right? March 2020. Look at where this inverted yield curve was at that time. It was right at this black line and it started to uninvert back to the upside. That is typically a bearish sentiment. Typically, historically, look every time it curves back up above that black line, we hit some type of 2008 is right here, right? Look at this back in the 80s. Look at this in the early 90s. Okay, curved back up, quote unquote crash, correction, recession, whatever happened, black swan event, whatever it was. Right here, 2001 dot-com bubble, curved up. Look at where we are right now. Do you see that? So when it's coming down back uninverted, that's typically more of a kind of bullish sentiment once we get up in this area. Okay. So right after that 2008 and it began, finishing up its recessionary period, cool. We go into a period of time where vibes are high. Remember 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, into the Trump begins uninverting, coming down. 2018, right here, tariffs. What does this look like? Do you see how factual data and adding up the puzzle pieces helps you prepare for what's coming? When I tell people I'm 6 months to a year to 2 years ahead. Brian, why'd you move to Vegas? I already knew what was coming. I need to get out of the city center, lower my cost, but still live abundantly, because y'all know me. Live in a place where I have a little bit more space, right? It's an upcoming city. It's a hidden gem, right? It was getting a little crowded. Everybody moving to Texas, everybody moving to Austin, everybody moving to Houston. Oh man, tax free, tax free. Yet the cost of living is going up. It's the highest property taxes you can have. So I'm 2 years ahead, typically a year ahead, making moves. Why'd you leave Airbnb at that time? Right when I left, what happened? New York imposed. Right, everybody got into it. Why'd you leave Turo? It's still working. Nothing wrong with them. Why'd you stop talking about credit? Because people needed to figure out how to generate income. So I was preparing folks for this stock market game at the time when everyone's now talking about it. Can y'all see that? For those that have been with me for a while, I'm typically talking about something that doesn't make sense a year or so ahead of time, 2 years, 3 years, right? And it's seemingly like, man, he seems like he's coming out. I've never seen this dude before. He seems like he's coming out of nowhere. It's all intentional. Okay. So there it is right there. All right. Let's jump into, let me get off this so it doesn't. So there are all the pending home sales also dropped. The pending home sale data. So that also means the housing market, meaning people that are in contract, they either don't have the remaining money, they're not getting the final approval, right? Existing home sales data slightly going down because people are waiting on rate cuts to come in. Even though you're a real estate professional or your real estate agent, I'm not talking about my real estate investors that have heavy cash and keep reinvesting, but my real estate investors are feeling it. That's why they're silent. It's like, it's a little tough right now, right? I may be in a deal, but that deal is taking a little bit longer to flip. And every time I turn around, they're asking for more money. The costs are going up, right? So have to be in the right asset class or the right moves, and you can make it work with anything. But everybody's feeling it to a certain extent. So when I add up all these puzzle pieces, I'm like, what's the best, most efficient way, in my opinion, that someone can generate some income without having to do extra, without a lot of money and also a lot of risk? So I said, man, someone's got $100 somewhere, $100, $200. They may not have a couple of grand that they want to risk, 5 grand, 10 grand that they want to risk, like we were doing back in 2022, 2023. It's like, oh yeah, pay this person, do this, do that. They may have something, but they don't want to let it go necessarily. So what other skill or what other thing? It's only 2 things really, in my opinion, that you can have a little amount of money that you want to risk, not a little amount of money that you have, and make a decent living or make extra. I was like, it's the market. It's either the market or selling intellectual property, because profit margins of intellectual property businesses, meaning content creation, You see your content creators getting these brand deals. They're going to big companies that are willing to spend brand deals, right? Consultants that are going to speak. Companies are still hiring speakers and things of that nature. Folks that have communities. So you see a lot of these people on School and Discord and sports betting, whatever they're doing, right? Because that business model still allows people to be served and helped, but your margins are higher without a lot of risk, and you're not having to dish out a bunch of money in return of is when is it going to come back, right? So let's jump into the charts and let me check on everybody. What questions does anyone have? Right? What questions? Whatever Warren does, smart, yes sir. Yeah. Trent's like, I feel it. Sports gambling thoughts. I'm in Vegas, so I know some sports bettors. We actually have a sports bettor lives in my complex. My complex, for me, like here, it is packed full of entrepreneurs and high level individuals. I did that intentionally. So we have a sports bettor here that does very, very well. Does very, very well. So I think it's the same type of sentiment. I think personally, I've tried it before. I've done it, periodically. I've made decent money on it. But the mentality of something I can't control, yes, you can read lines and things of that nature, but I'd rather be on a chart and control where I can enter and exit. I don't want to enter $1,000 and have $1,000 of risk, right? For a money line bet that can return me 100% when I can enter a SPY put like today and enter $100 and make 1,000, right? So I'll do it for fun, but it's not prominent. I was presenting the community for fun a little bit, but yeah, it's legitimate. It's legitimate for sure. These kids out here, they just watch sports and they've monetized it. So good for them. Monetize sports, monetize playing video games, like everything. It's entertainment. Monetizing entertainment. But yeah, those are my thoughts. All right. I'm going to pause for a second. What questions to make sure? So if you want me to cover something while we're here, so like, Brian, can you make sure you cover this or cover that, cover this, cover that? Can you just put it in the chat for me? Would be amazing. Maybe give me a 2 in the chat if we're on track. If this is helping you, making sense. Maybe put a little question, like a contradiction, like, yeah, I don't really agree with you, whatever. I'm fine with that. I just want everyone to be informed. That's my intention, not to persuade or sway. All right. Is to inform. And I think that's why our community is a little bit different, is I come on just trying to inform. Very concerned. Okay, cool. I'm just checking the chat when y'all type in. All right, I'll check it periodically. Let's keep going. So I think the biggest thing is by the end of this, when we jump on the charts, is even if you don't know the charts, okay, I'll be discussing this in our boot camp on Tuesday through Thursday of next week. So make sure if you're already liking this, go ahead on, if you need the link, just DM me. My Instagram is down below. It's Dr. McElderry. So if you follow me, cool. Just go ahead and DM me and say, hey, Brian, boot camp, boot camp, boot camp. I'll send you the link directly so you don't get confused. But that is where I'll be going over all my strategies, my gap fill strategies. How did you know it was going to that level? Right? I think that's the biggest question. All right. I'm going to clear all these things and show you levels. And instead of the stock market immediately, I have some crypto people on here. And I think that's another question is, where are these crypto things going? Right? Where are these crypto names going? Like Bitcoin, I told y'all that was a scam. Don't invest in no Bitcoin. All right. So I've been talking for a minute about Bitcoin and this chart structure. Okay. So let me clear this so I can do it and show there's not a fluke of me actually charting it live here. Okay. And I understand that for some, they're just trying to still get it. But the more you see it and the more you hear me explain it and talk about it, you'll begin to see that there's patterns. And the patterns are based off of emotions and also the skill set of how the market moves. So the chart is only showing the emotions of individuals. When you see big red, or in this case, purple on Bitcoin, right? It's just showing an emotion. People are a little bit fearful that they're panic selling. right? But it's also a positive emotion that people up here were profit taking. So it's two things that are happening is that there's profit taking happening because people have been holding Bitcoin since 15, 20K, or they've been holding it all the way back here since, the highs of 63 and they've been waiting for it to get to 100. Imagine someone holding it since 2021 and having to hold all the way back through 15K, panicking, and now they get 100K. They're like, man, I've been holding for 3 years. I'm going to take my profit. All right. So greed and fear rule these charts and rule the economy and the markets. Okay. And the person that can control their emotions and also the investor that can read the charts and remove emotions are going to be the successful ones. Okay. So the charts help us control our emotions so you don't see headlines and start panicking. And also, for some, that there may be a further dip. This seems like a dip, which it is, right? But this also could be cut in half even more. And I'll show you why. Okay. So a chart pattern on Bitcoin, okay? If I'm looking at this, I'm on a weekly chart. So I'd start from a monthly and a weekly, okay? And I typically start on charts first. I'm about 75% of more of a technical investor. If I start seeing stuff on the charts, I'm like, something's coming, good and or bad, okay? So every time back in 20, let's actually look at historical context. Let's look back at 2018 when the first tariffs came back in when Trump was in his second year of office. Okay. So 2018 was right here. Okay. 2017. And we come into 2018 right here when Trump comes into his second term of office. Isn't this ironic? And it's not ironic that the market was at all-time highs at the end of 2017. So if you've been watching my story and I said, hey, this is almost mimicking 2018. Trump tariffs back in 2018, and we enter into the new year and we tank for all of February back down to a low, and we give it a little bit more all the way through. So it goes from 19,000, almost 20,000. Bitcoin falls back to 6,000 at the end of March. Okay. Now, that tariff news lasted for almost the whole year of 2018. And we went even lower, all the way down to almost 2,000. Okay. So you think about 2018 starting Bitcoin at all time highs, and it pulls back, giving damn near the whole move back. So do you see how the charts remove your emotion to say, maybe I should take some profits, buy the dip slowly on the way down? Because if you load the boat at 100K, you better be prepared to hold for the next 5, 10, 20 years when crypto investors are talking about Bitcoin being a true use case, as people are seeing now, true use case, because no one's trusting these financial institutions anymore. But it might be another 5, 6, 7, 10 years until the next Bitcoin halving in 2028. So you're talking about 2030, right? So is everyone seeing this tariff news affecting crypto? Now, this is a different chart because there's also not as much data as we have now. So I'm not saying that we're going to cut this in half and it gives back the whole move, but it's preparing during that tariff time for about a year and a half. It comes into the Bitcoin halving of 2020, right? 2021 rise. So if we compare that to this move, tariffs again, okay? The structure will go from previous highs of resistance at 70 to 71K, okay? So I am prepared for Bitcoin to hold up 71,000 and say, screw tariffs, everything's good, and rip back up like that. That is a normal chart structure. It's called a break of resistance and retest that resistance level. Okay. Break and retest. All right. This is a bull flag right here. break, retest, go. So that gives us buy zones as technical investors if you start understanding the charts. So that's how I knew that Bitcoin didn't have to do this, but this consolidated for almost when everyone was like, man, 120 is about to go crazy. 120 is about to go crazy. XRP is about to go to 5. I was like, it's taking too long. Every time it popped, it faded, popped, faded. The longer it consolidates and the longer it starts to hit a certain level, that glass is about to break. Remember when I kept talking about 91,000, 91,000, 91,000, 91,000? At some point, that glass is going to break because it's getting hit too many times and is struggling to hold up that level to where buyers are not comfortable with that level anymore. They just let it go, sellers take over, and they drop it. Okay. And it so happens that it's the same time as tariff news. So you should expect that this will be the best level to pick up a decent amount of Bitcoin if you are, or crypto in general, you want to correlate this to where XRP is, so on and so forth. Okay. So if Bitcoin has a little bit lower, it could stop at 80. Okay. That is a level of psychological level, as we call it, 80K. Okay. Right there. It could stop at 80 and say, I'm not going to 70. Okay. But you got to remember back in that 2018 timeframe when the first tariffs came in, if those tariffs keep imposing new executive orders, people get more fearful. They don't know what's going on. These rumbling off at the mouth, new tweets every day. Right? If you have never traded a Trump market, this is what it is. Okay. Every day is different. So that's the level. Now, let me turn on something else to show you why investors you may have been hearing saying, hey, I'm going to wait for 60, 50, maybe even 20. Where are they getting these numbers from? It's like, I can't even see that dropping that far. Let me turn on these moving averages here. Okay. Moving averages are kind of like home base. Okay. They're kind of like home base. So the further I like to explain it as the further it gets away from home base, it is eventually going to try to come back home, settle in, and then rebuild resources to go higher. That's the simplest way I can explain it. These moving averages give an average of that price over that period of time where it should reside and hold above. Do you see this 20-day moving average on a monthly? It rides it, gets it above, rides it, and then takes off. Comes back home a little bit closer, takes off, comes back home, breaks back under, goes lower. Builds back up some strength, regains control, takes off again, comes back, takes off again. So that 70,000 is a level, but also that moving average could be a level, right? At 60. That's where investors are getting that 60,000. It's not hypothetical. It's not fear mongering. Well, what if it comes back to this one? That's 45,000. So these are your buy zones in preparation. So if I ever see a flash crash, I'm not shocked. It is getting too far away from home. And they're also support ranges. Okay. That is a support zone at 30. Okay. So we have too much data now to potentially drop it that far, but I would not be shocked. So when you're a long-term investor and you want to buy Bitcoins at the right time or buy XRP at the right time, or you want to not be too early to the party and holding through a lot of drawdown, you better get in the boot camp. You better understand how to learn these charts, and you better get involved because this is an active participant investor market. This isn't just, oh, I'll just pick up some here, and you can do that. That's fine. It's not financial advice. But if you want to know when big money buys, you want to be ahead of the game and waiting patiently. These are the levels that they're comfortable buying. Now, let me show you how that is still a good thing. Let me draw this trend line here. If I draw a trend line, right there, isn't that ironic? It's still on the trend line. Do you see that? How it lines up almost identical to that 44 to 45,000. So this isn't out of the question either. Right there, then take off. That is a possibility. It would still be forming a higher low because it really never came back to test that trend line, right? This break and retest never really came back to test that 40 to 45,000. It stopped at 49, which is fine. All right, that is a level. So I am when I'm looking at something like this, maybe you have 3 ads depending on your liquid cash. Okay? So ad 1 would maybe be right here at 80. Okay. Drop it lower. Ad 2. Ad 3. Do you see how a long-term investor prepares for multiple ads? So if you've heard anyone in this space say, never load the boat of everything that you have in your first edition on a pullback. Okay. And that's not financial advice, but that is the proper addition of how a long-term investor would start adding as it's pulling back. So just say someone has $1,000, right? Maybe they load 300 on the first ad, load 500 on this, another 300 on the next ad, and then their last 400 on the last ad. Then you're dollar cost averaging strategically on the way down, not just, whenever. Or you can just be a person that maybe turns on a $5 investment a day and not think about it. Just every day, $5, every day, $5, every day, $5. That's what we were taught, right? But maybe folks want to get better. Is there a better way? Is this good? Can I get an 8 in the chat? Is this good? Can I get an 8 in the chat? Is this good? 8 in the chat. Is this new to folks? Is it good? Is it helpful? Bought in at 2018 and been holding ever since. Never took profits. Brian, I made it helps profits to get to your boot camp. Oh, man. Any thoughts on Ethereum and why it was down 2024 as opposed to Bitcoin being way up? Yeah, I think it's the technology, right? And it's the what is it? I'll just call it the C-suite. Okay. I'll just call it the round table the C-suite. My mind's going blank right now. Okay. C-suite. Right. So the technology of Ethereum or the use case of certain coins, individuals may see less value in that particular coin or in that particular use case or technology, as it's called, right? Our chains in the crypto space, they may see less value in that. So I'm not the Ethereum guru. I'm just giving my technical. I like to talk simplistically to people because I feel like a lot of times crypto enthusiasts and whatnot talk to detail about folks that really just want to know where to buy and what to buy. Right. So simplistically, the technology of Ethereum, that's why it really didn't pop to $5,000. And really it should have gone to 6, 7 grand as Bitcoin's pushing up. Right. So you see how on the charts, that tells me that Ethereum was lagging. As Bitcoin's pushing to 109,000, Ethereum was lagging. Right. So That's my answer to that. But also, do you see Ethereum pulled right back to what Bitcoin, could do? Do you see how the chart's very similar? This trend line, this blue trend line, is sitting right on it at about 2,300, which is right in a level of support. However, there is a possibility if we go lower that Ethereum could be right back at this previous support, which will be back at about 1,500. So I've got a couple levels on Ethereum, 1,700, and then it really needs to hold up 2 grand. Right? This is a very critical level for Ethereum. And also, I look at the aggressiveness of the candle. Okay. So I'm looking at the aggressiveness of the candle. That means how the candle is approaching that level. So if I get rid of all these lines here, I'm looking at how aggressive that candle is. Well, Brian, what do you mean by aggressiveness? The top wicks tells us the selling pressure's in, right? Top wick coming in on a monthly, another heavy top wick here, right? At the very bottom here, we have bottom wicks. We have little bottom wicks, less heavy top wicks. And there's very little of a bottom wick here on a monthly. So that tells me it's coming into that level very aggressively. It also closed lower, okay? So the last monthly close that we had was sitting right around this 2,500, which is at that candle close right here, okay? Right there and right there. Do you see how this broke that level, okay? So we've got these bottom wicks that are right there at 2,100. They're very important for it to hold. Do you see last time? It's a very key level. Last time we got to this 2,000, 2,100 level, we bounced and went higher, bounced and went higher, bounced and went higher. So this is a very good level for Ethereum for a pickup. But also everything follows Bitcoin. Do you see that? So yeah, there is a fundamental reason why Ethereum is not popping like Bitcoin, or it didn't go to 6,000, 7,000 like everyone was talking about. But it is still a use case. It is still in line of maybe people consider top 5, obviously. Maybe people move XRP above Ethereum or Solana above Ethereum, whatever your viewpoints are. But it is in a buy zone. And that's how I just look at it as a technical level. I'll watch it how it finishes the month, maybe give it into March and see if it breaks 2,000 or if it holds up 2,000. And that would be a signal for a potential higher and buy. All right. So I did crypto a little earlier than I usually do on here. So yeah, preach. Deshaun, appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. So everything must be in alignment. Everything must be in alignment. Yeah, this isn't rocket science. The people that understand the charts, they're like, yeah, no brainer. It's going back to that level. Okay. All right, let's jump into a SPY and QQQ. Why you're seeing maybe some YouTube videos, or you're seeing people on, if you see anyone saying, oh man, this is, pick up the dip. I'm like, there could be more dip. There could be more dip. And I'll show you maybe the reasoning why. Okay. First of all, let's go to QQQ, which is most people's favorite, which is the tech index. Everyone wants to invest in AI, 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 AI. All right. And I want you to look at this RSI indicator, relative strength index. Okay. This relative strength index tells us when things are overbought and oversold. So last time, again, his story, if you're a believer, his story is telling a story. All right. Historical context. Last time, the RSI on a monthly. So a monthly time frame gives us a 1 year, potentially 6 month, potentially another 2 years outlook. Okay. So the higher the time frame candle, the more that you can foresee what's coming in the next 6 months to a year. Okay. So last time the RSI got up into these 80 levels right here. So if you've never seen this before, the RSI is correlated to the chart above. So every time the RSI got up here to these 80 levels on a monthly, we had some type of correction, whether it was a crash, a bear market, or a correction. Okay. So look back here in, where was this? 2014. We had a little bit of a correction right there. It wasn't much, right? QQQ went from 100 back down to 80. Cool. Right here, 2018, all of 20 into 2018, we were approaching, it began to get very heavy, and we pulled from 180 back down to 136. Okay. There's a 2020 crash. It happened just in March, roughly around the same time frame, very eerie. Okay. We have the RSI overextended. We pull back for a month and then we rip. Okay. Same thing here. And this presented a full year's bear market when the RSI was up here in 2021 in August, and it was approaching when everyone was riding high in 2021 and got smacked in 2022 when Bitcoin pulled all the way back to 15K. We had Meta pull back to $80, and that was a full year of a bear market. So look where we are yet again. Okay. So I'm like, it's inevitable. You don't know when, you can't time it necessarily. You just know that it's coming, whether it's a quick flash crash like 2020, or whether it's a full bear market recession like people have been talking about. Oh man, y'all been talking about that for the last 2 years. Yeah, we know, but are you prepared? All right. So look at this again. RSI overextended up at the 75, almost to the 80. Does not have to be perfect, but you're starting to see it correlate and come back down. Okay. So look how it's correlated to this month. Started to get real heavy up here, and we'll finally get some type of selling bearish candle on a monthly. Okay. This really hasn't happened recently unless the PCE data tomorrow, which is really, in my opinion, the last line of defense tomorrow. We had NVIDIA that was supposed to save the day. We had jobs reports that were supposed to save the day. We had consumer sentiment all week that was supposed to save the day. We had Snowflake earnings. We had the previous couple of weeks, we had all the tech earnings. Apple killed their earnings, so on and so forth. All these things were supposed to save the day, and it's coming into a point where it's like, damn, none of these can help this thing right now. Right? So remember that top wick. The more that I see top wicks that are heavy. Okay. So 500, if I turn on the moving averages again, remember home base. Let me go to a weekly because that may be a little bit extensive for people to see for QQQ to drop down to 445. All right, let me go to a weekly. The first line of defense, you see how we broke below this 515 20-day moving average here, and we're approaching a key support about 495. Okay. Do you see how it's approaching this level as well? Approaching it very aggressively through that moving average. The last time that we were underneath that moving average was a couple of times right here in April of last year, and this flash crash in August, right? But next day or next month, we got bought back up, okay? So depending on how we finish out tomorrow, if we get more selling underneath $500 and we get underneath $500, there's really nothing but room down into about 480. Now, will that happen in one day? Is everyone visually seeing this? How it's attractive towards these moving averages and support ranges where buyers are. You see where buyers are kind of more heavily present right around that 480, right? Previous resistance, buyers, stacks, takes off and starts moving. Holds that line, now breaks that line, okay? So even if we do get a pop back up, I think that's what confuses people, is that today's the day and it gives you a green day, which is fine, but then the next day it sells even more. That's called a retest, okay? It is going to potentially recover a little bit, right? So you may have PCE data or something, and then the morning you wake up and you get a green candle. You're like, man, today is a day. Yes. But you got to remember it's still on a bigger time frame forming lower highs. So you need QQQ to really get back above these moving averages, really back up above like 521. Because even if it pops up here like this, it could get slammed back down just like that. Okay. Because we have changed trend. It was like this, broke trend, and now starting to change trend on the downside. Okay. So if you know that the market is headed towards a level, then you can be more prepared that, oh, we may have lower. So also final is that my gap fills. I'll be talking about this in the boot camp, how to find gap fills, how to set your charts up, all those kind of things, answering your personal questions. Gap fills also are important. If you don't know where the gap is, or if there's gaps at all, you don't even know what a gap is, then you're getting absolutely smacked. Okay. Folks that bought NVIDIA calls before earnings got smacked today. Okay. Because their emotions are involved. Oh, of course, NVIDIA will beat earnings. I was like, I'm not saying they won't beat earnings, but it will fall, most likely, because of the nature of the market. It's already maybe priced in. All right. The move for earnings was already priced in before earnings happened because everyone expected, oh, they're probably going to be earnings already. So let's pump it up before earnings, then sell it into earnings. Okay. So 490, do you see this gap, this little light gray area? These gaps like to get filled. So again, another confirmation of where it's probably going, right down to 590. So that gives me another lower opportunity down to 490. Whoops. So that's how I'm confident when I wake up in the morning and people are optimistic, like, oh man, today's gonna be the day, the bulls step in, the bulls step in. I'm like, I don't see any bull that wants to step in front of this falling knife just yet. They may pick up a little bit of dip, but I'm talking about massive hedge funds. They want to pick up where their friends are, right? And their friends are stacked up really at 480, right? Their friends are stacked up down here at 450, okay, at these moving averages. Cool. All right. NVIDIA, same thing. See how NVIDIA got below all these moving averages, and we said that it was going to fill that gap back up to 141, and it was going to get slammed back down because it's still not forming a higher low. Look at that. That is still lower highs, right? So understanding the charts, pop back down, buy the dip, great, ride it back up, trade it, pick up the dip for your long-term portfolio because you got a little bit more at a discount, but do not expect, if it cannot get back above 150 very cleanly, it's going to reject this lower high and come lower because it's still in a downtrend, right? And now it's below all the moving averages. It's got one last line of defense. How did you know it was going to come down to 118, 120, Brian? Because there was a gap that didn't get filled. You see that light gray area right here that used to be light gray fully was 120, 118. Came right back down into there to fill that gap. Right? It's like a cheat code. Look at Tesla. How'd you know it was come down to 170? How'd you know it was going to do that? Look at all those gaps down below. I'm expecting Tesla potentially to come back to 150. If it can't hold up 270, 260, we have more tariff news. It starts to turn into a bearish nature. Those gaps will get filled back down to 150. That is why I don't chase. So if every day I wake up, I'm like, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, great. Hold your shares, right? But do not be surprised when it comes back to you so you can pick up more and you're prepared for that, all right? So And that's how it would look. So there it is on Tesla. Buy zone would be 200, 250. Ideally in this 250 to 200 range. Ideally needs to hold up to 70 or reclaim 300. But do you see how aggressively it's coming into that level? It's still not at the moving averages yet either. We got too euphoric based on Elon and everyone in Bitcoin, too euphoric to understand that Tesla has still been missing earnings. Am I right or am I wrong? Right? So just if Elon wasn't the CEO, Tesla would be $100, $50 stock. Now, I'm not saying Tesla won't be $1,000, $500, whatever you believe, because I'm a Tesla bull too. But it is so volatile that you got to think about the core of Tesla, how long it took the Cybertruck to come out, how long it takes to get to production, why the leases of the Teslas are dropping and dropping. He's cutting prices and making things less expensive and more affordable for folks. When the first Tesla that came out was the Roadster, that was 100 plus grand, 200 grand, right? The Model S that came out over 100 grand, right? So and also the tariffs. So if you're producing the Teslas overseas and you have tariffs and coming in, like how, let's get down to the facts. Get your emotions out of loving Elon for a second. Is everyone making sense of that? So I wasn't even, because it never came back to, I was like, it'll come back to 300. Just wait. It'll go all the way back up to 500 and come back to 3. No one was even thinking about that. And I only say that for folks that hold the bag. Okay. I only say that for folks that are not active investors, like maybe Trent, that you've been holding Bitcoin for a while, like myself and others, and you just hold and you buy more. But I'm a big proponent of trimming profits personally. Like people ask me all the time, like, Brian, what do you do? I'm like, I at least, if I'm up 100+% Palantir, whatnot, when we call Palantir at, $20, $15, $17, right? I trim profits. Depending on how much I'm up, I trim at least a quarter off the top. I'm like, I need to lock in something. I'm thinking like a hedge fund. I need to lock in something. If Nancy's locking in something, I'm locking in something. All right. So what's the point? If you bought Tesla at 270, wrote it up to 500, unless your plan was to be like, okay, I'll buy a little bit, but I'm prepared for it to come back to 150. I'll buy more. Every dip, I'll buy more. I'll buy more. Look at this trend line on Tesla. You see that trend line on Tesla right there? It's still on a higher low. So it never really came back to touch the trend line or the moving averages. So it's right in this buy zone of where big money would be, right in that 200 to 250 range. Okay. All right. What questions anyone have? Wrapping up here. We've been in here for roughly about an hour and some change. So got to run. Go do some bar. Okay. The girls got me signed up for a bar Pilates. Y'all be like, bro, you tripping. I'm like, man, I need to stretch. Don't negate stretching and getting yourself out the seat. I'm telling you, longevity, man. Do some stretching. I can lift all types of weights, but do some stretching. Get out your comfort zone. I'm like, man, I'm tight. I do have a standing desk, so I do stand typically when I trade and invest, and on these things. So I'll answer any questions anyone have in the chat. I'll also finish off with our pivot year and our daily stoic and kind of pour into folks to finish up. What questions can I show you finishing off here? What questions can I show everybody finishing off? Going once, going twice, going once, going twice. Who's signing up for the boot camp? Who's joining the Leverage University? I'd love to see you inside. Let me shout out some folks really quick if you really want to see what's going on, because a lot of folks have questions, right? So this is our community. I'll be checking the chat. Make sure you ask your questions. So I'm a life and a business coach and a strategist for entrepreneurs, as y'all have heard on my YouTube channel before. So I coach professionals, people that want to build their businesses, people that want to start intellectual property business, how to get your business set up, how to get funding, all those types of things, which I've gotten millions of dollars for folks. If you found me on Clubhouse, if you're new to my YouTube channel, all those kind of things. So I've done all those things before. I've been an entrepreneur for the last 8 years, full time. Does not mean it's been easy, but have strategized and worked my way up in all these skill sets. So when you see a community like ours, it's not like others. This isn't just a trading community. If you're coming in here for trading floor, that's great, but you will benefit personally, professionally, developing mindset, psychology, NLP, communication, speaking, right? All those things are all inclusive of a holistic community. That's why I call it leverage. All right. So when you see here, thought leaders, our book club, our thought leader club, our mindset work, our course creation, how to create a course. If you want to start an online business, our crypto hub, which is right here. I give all my levels on ETH, Sol, all those levels here charted out to perfection there, where they're going. Okay. Our trading floor. So shouting out some folks. If people want to know, like, do you tell people when to get in? Can I do it when I'm busy? Yes. I've been calling out swing trades, which people that are busier, they can't join live trading, they can't be active. This seems like too much. Swing trading is when you're carrying that trade over and holding it for a couple of weeks, whatever it might be. So a swing trade that I called out, that shout out to Dreama if you're on here, right? This was an easy short swing trade that I called out that cost 70 to $100, and it's done already 100% in the last day or so. Okay. So I charted it out, gave an entry, beautiful close. I started to give how much we were up, 22%, 67%, 78% on your money, and it'll probably go to 100+% easily. Okay. If it goes crazy over the next week, this could be a easy 500% trade. Okay. And there's how it's looking. Do you see the moving average? Same strategy. Okay. But I'm helping people out because I'm giving a picture. And once you understand what I'm talking about, then you see my picture and outline. It's like, man, he's done the research for us. I just got to look and see if I like it too and enter, right? Day trades. That is when we are inactively. You can still take day trades if you're busy. Today, okay, here's what I said. We took it this morning, but I verbatim, this was at 7:27 my time on the West Coast. So an hour into the market. We took puts this morning, watching puts again. Watch them at 596, 597, 598, which is where it was. Contracts, which ones to enter? 590 to 593 puts. Enter it on Monday or Tuesday. Expiration. You can have a little bit more in the money if you want. So someone can, put it at 595s, closer to where it was at the time. Stop loss above 600. Here's a higher low trend. I tell exactly where it's going. And I give an update, fire, and there it is, rejecting right off of it for puts, entry right where, what? Right at 596. Okay. So I'm very particular on entries. We're in drawdown very little bit. That means you don't see a lot of red before it goes back green. Okay. Playing the end of the day moves. And essentially, here is the chart today. So I'll give an example just on that SPY, just so, because people really do have questions like, how much do you really need, and how much did someone could have made today? Those contracts for Monday, just say someone entered when I told them to enter. Just say it's 592. When I called that out, that contract this morning was at $200 something. Most people have about $200. It went to 800. So you would have profited $700 roughly, $600, $700. So you buy a contract for 200, sell it for 800. If it goes even further, you can hold it into Monday potentially, or into today. It will probably go into $1,000. So you just turned $100 to $200 into $1,000 profit. Who doesn't want an extra $1,000 for the weekend? Strategically, this isn't gambling or guessing. You've heard me talk for the last hour. And then now I'm showing how that was done. How do you take an analysis, a trade idea, to a trade plan, to execution, to generate the hardest, easiest money you can make? Yes, I said it. The hardest, easiest money you can make. Okay. And I'm talking about people from beginning, like coming in here knowing nothing, coming from the YouTube channel, like, I don't really know this stuff. or wherever and starting to win. Starbucks, shout out to Dennis, 20% caught. There's my trade today. Should have went a lot heavier. So, I mean, this was light work. This was an easy $700, $800. As you can see, you can add those up. But this was an easily 2, 3, 4 grand day with little risk. Shout out to Jay, made 169%, 74% on his money. Just chilling, right? There's Jay again, shouting out 72%, 142%, 58%, 100%, 66% on your money. So you calculate how much you want to put into there. He had 5 contracts, 3 contracts, a couple of contracts, pretty easy. Not a lot of risk. There's my trade the other day, right here. The last 5 minutes of the market, 356%. That's another strategy that I teach more advanced for 101s, or in the boot camp, I'll share that strategy, which is my MOC strategy. I don't like to use strategy, but MOC, market on call orders at the end of the day, which is the last like 30 minutes of the market. I turned $100 into $600 profit in 5 minutes. So there's levels to this that not only I do, other people do it too, right? But you're trying to find, or you're trying to discover who can explain it, or who do you vibe with, or how do you like to learn? I'm not proclaiming to make 10,000, 20,000 a day. I'm saying my average is $800 to $1,000 a day on good days. So you do the math on that when someone is, trying to explain these things, and you do have losing days, right? We have a trade losses channel, right? That I share my losses sometimes, but it's very, very minimal, if that. Either someone had the wrong idea, or someone held it too long, or whatever it might be, right? I said here on the 16th, market got me today, wrecked, right? Apple puts worked out, and, I took a loss, right? So just wanted to share that. So I look forward to having y'all. Need that rent money for mañana. Goat yoga. Yeah, I know. You're going to be doing cheerleading next. You got jokes, Trent. Crazy. It's actually a brother teaching it. It's actually a gentleman teaching. I was like, man, shoot, you killing me, bro. I'm sore. Seriously. I was like, shoot. But anyways, going once, going twice. Got to run. Going once, going twice. If anything, if you can't join the boot camp, at least join the university. Get your 10% off for the month. Would love to have you. And a lot of you are in the Discord, but you don't have access to some of these channels. And I think you're missing out personally on a lot of information, not just money, but information. All right. No push, just letting you know. All right. Let people make their own decisions. If you do have questions or clarity, if you like more support or some more one-on-one time, all those types of things, I'd love to support you if you like my teaching style. If you could screenshot this, let people know that we're here. I'm going to go ahead and get off this share screen, and let me know how you liked it. All right, there we go. Thank y'all so much. Peace, love, and blessings. An average of 800 daily could be result to 24,000 a month. Yes, that is correct. All right. So even on the lower end, just say it's 300 a day. I like to give people realistic goals, right? Just shouting out your sister, right? Dreamer's making 100% on her money. Just say she makes $100 a day for, consistently. That's $500 a week, right? $500 a week could be an easy, mortgage payment for somebody, right? You do the math, 500, that's $2,000, right? A lot of people's mortgages, maybe that, or, an investment, or maybe spending money, whatever it be. So I'm just talking about from $100 to $200 a day. That's very simple and realistic for a lot of folks, right? Risking very little. So just making it realistic. That is who I'm trying to accomplish and get to, because you can build up to those very high numbers, right? Those very, very high numbers that you see, but realistic numbers will get people excited more, in my opinion. It's like, man, that's possible for me. All right. Peace, love, and blessings to you. Thank y'all so much. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share this, screenshot it, tag me on your stories. I love to support you. And until next time, peace, love, and blessings. Bye. Hey, hold on. I didn't read the pivot year. Got to do it. Got to do it. I can't just be talking to mark the market and not do that. So if you got to run, you're more than welcome to run. Today's the 27th. Okay. Well, this is a long one. Let me read the 26. Finding yourself also requires losing who you once thought yourself to be. Cultivating the deepest and most lasting forms of inspiration often requires the most root kind of consistency. Figuring out what's right for you is acknowledging that different things are right at different times. Alignment shifts as you do. Healing is often a process of being able to hold and embrace the contrasts of your experiences, to embrace them and to let them be. Finding yourself also requires losing who you once thought yourself to be. A lot of people are trying to find themselves in these seasons. They're like, man, everything's changing. Nothing makes sense anymore. I thought this was the right route for me. I thought I was doing good. You are doing good. Give yourself some grace. Just because you felt like you made the wrong decision and you should know X, Y, and Z, and man, I should have bought that. Right? Don't put yourself down to the point where you can't see and foresee to continue moving and taking leaps and bounds on yourself. All right. Daily Stoic. Today, let's focus on the 3 areas of training that Epictetus laid out for us. First, we must consider what we should desire and what we should be averse to. Why? So that we want what is good and avoid what is bad. It's not enough to just listen to your body because our attractions often lead us astray. Next, we must examine our impulses to act. That is, our motivations. Are we doing things for the right reasons? Or do we act because we haven't stopped to think? Or do we believe that we have to do something? Finally, there's our judgment. Our ability to see things clearly and properly comes when we use our greatest gifts from nature, which is reason. In summary, these are 3 distinct areas of training and expertise as a thought leader. But in practice, they are extremely intertwined and difficult to continue. Our judgment affects what we desire. Our desires affect what we act on, just as our judgment determines how we act. But we can't just expect this to happen. We must put real thought and energy into each area of our lives. If we do, you will, I will, we will find real clarity and success. If you needed a little note taking on that, the first, our desires. What do you want out of your life? What do you want out of this trading? Why are you here? I want to make an extra $1,000. I want to understand all this conspiracy stuff. I want to get to be the pillar of my family so I can help my kids and my mom and my dad or my youth group or my church group or my coworkers that keep asking me what's going on. I can be the change agent. Next, your actions. A lot of people say, I need some motivation, man. I just, I need to figure this thing out. Okay. What's stopping you? Well, no, I don't know, actually. You got to be very clear about what's stopping you. Well, let's make it monetary. I need an extra couple $100 to do X, Y, and Z. Okay. Well, what can you subtract? Because not everything's a need. Can you subtract those subscriptions? Use Rocket Money or another subscription base to see where your subscriptions and things are going and subtract $100 of subscriptions. There's your extra $100 for the month. What is your motivation? I don't really like to use the word motivation because I feel like it comes from external vices and external things. You need inspiration. You need to be inspired by who you already are and the experiences that you've had, and be inspired by what other people may be doing, but it is not you. I'm not you. I don't desire to be you. You shouldn't desire to be me. You should say, man, that's inspiring. I want to do that. I'm not perfect either. I have my inspirations too. Right. And finally, those reasons. If you're a believer, it's God's reasoning and grace and ability to have that humble confidence to say, man, something's in my gut. Reason, clarity. What am I seeing? Let me trust myself. Everybody keeps telling me just sit back and just chill for a little bit longer and don't make too many aggressive moves and don't do this and you shouldn't be doing that. How many texts I get about, man, you shouldn't trust Elon, you should sell your Tesla, you should do this. Who is okay? If you can give me some factual data of why, don't give me your opinions. Listen to your reason. It's you and God, you and the universe, you and your proper counsel, not your people with opinions. Today, hopefully you got that from me as I showed factual information and historical data of why I came up to my reasoning. It incites trust in me, right? That I'm confident in what I'm seeing. And if it has another outcome, great. That's great as well. But I will not be blindsided, as I've been saying, head on a swivel while everyone's panicking.